my sexual energy is holy and pure and light-filled. Touch yourself and move the sexual energy all around your body. You can ask better questions when having sex. So some positions that I really like, lingerie should be for you feeling sexy, empowered, and confident in your body. Hello, my fellow earth angels, fellow sexual explorers. Whether you're asexual or really in a hoe phase right now, I just wanted to share more sexual education on the internet in a safe space. I personally believe that sex is a skill. It's something that we're not necessarily born knowing how to do well, and we can constantly expand our sexual education and deepen into lovemaking as a practice and transformational tool in our lives for intimacy. I believe there are so many forms of intimacy, but sex and lovemaking is a language in itself. So for this video, I thought that it could be really fun to take you through sort of a lovemaking session, things that I just practice regularly. And the first thing is that I really normalize conversations about sex in my life with all of my friends. We love sharing our sexual experiences with each other, with detail, with things that we liked, didn't like. We're constantly sharing our tips and things that turn us off or on. And it's a really wonderful conversation to have because we learn so much about different bodies, about different kinks, and in general get a wider scope of how sex can happen. When you have friends tell you that certain things don't work for them that work for you, it's just really eye-opening. So first, just normalize conversations about sex in your life if you can, and talking about it more regularly with your friends will help to give you language to then go into sexual relationships and feel more comfortable speaking about it with them. I've had so many situationships in the past where we were having so much sex, but we would never talk about the sex, and I just feel like people aren't talking about the sex that they're having as much as they could. So with a sexual partner that you're having, doing dirty talk before, and I'll give some examples of this, but you can kind of guide the lovemaking session and tell them what you enjoy, what makes you come really easily, how your body functions, and this can be done when you're cuddling or through text, building up to a date that you're gonna have, really letting them know what your body enjoys and what you're excited to try with them. Like if someone's really strong, being like, oh, I think it'd be so hot if you picked me up and fucked me against the wall. If it's comfortable with this person, you can even share sex stories of things that you really enjoyed that made you feel really good. Sometimes that's easier than just explaining what your body feels, just being like, oh, this one time I had this lover who did this, this, and this, and I kept coming over and over and over again. And then they're like, oh, I want to do that. But if that feels like a jealousy thing or something you wouldn't want to hear, then maybe not. But I personally love hearing the sex stories of my lovers because it just helps me. You can also talk about safety, STD tests, what kind of contraception that you want to use, and asking good specific questions as well, like what does your orgasm feel like? Have you ever had multiple orgasms? What kind of orgasms are you curious about having? How can I empower you as a sexual partner? Are there any fears that you're trying to overcome in the bedroom? Things like that to establish intention around the energy that you're sharing. Really just get to know how you can best serve someone in their life and how they can serve you, because the truth is that you are having this incredible energy exchange, and so why not make the absolute best of it and have mind-blowing sex and feel really comfortable with each other and grow sexually together. So you can kind of initiate conversations like that as well. For initiating sex, I think it's important to know the person's love language so that you know what makes them feel good, close and intimate with you without sex, and then also reading the room, having some context, especially if this isn't like a casual sex partner where you know you're going to each other's houses just to have sex. If it's your partner or someone that you're dating and they just got home from work and they might be a little bit exhausted, like taking that into account and not just inviting sex by being like, do you want to have sex? But seeing the context and being like, okay, they just got home. Let me set the mood a little bit. Let me tune into their energy and see where they're at. And the best way to set the mood is through the senses. Things like lighting, maybe put some candles out, play some really good jazz music, burn incense, or have something yummy baking in the oven, very clueless. But you know, just have all of the senses kind of activated. That will bring someone into their body a little bit more. And then touch without any expectation expectation, maybe asking if they want a massage, and knowing whether your partner has responsive or spontaneous desire will be immensely helpful, because then you know, like, okay, I need to set the mood, let's clear their mind a little bit. Or maybe they just get home from work and they just want you to pin them up against the wall. It really depends, and you have to know your partner. I also think that masturbating a lot is going to make you feel more available for sex and more comfortable with yourself. I've been doing this practice where when I'm masturbating, I talk about everything that I'm really enjoying. So I'll vocalize out loud, like, that feels so good, even though it's kind of maybe weird and cringy to do alone, but I'll talk myself through what I'm doing and what I'm liking. Sometimes I'll do this in front of a mirror, and it really helps me to do this in the bedroom because I'm so used to talking about my pleasure out loud. And personally, I turn myself on when I do this because I genuinely feel like I'm fucking myself. And a toy I've been really loving in my self-pleasure practice is the Enigma Wave by Lelo. Today's video is sponsored by Lelo, and they are a luxury sex toy company all about empowering female sexual pleasure and inviting sexual explorers to explore their body with these incredibly high quality toys. And this Enigma Wave is so buttery soft, it's rechargeable, and it has 8 different pleasure settings. So I'm gonna turn it on and just show you. This is a finger like massager that moves on its own and also vibrates, while this is a sonic wave clitoral stimulator. It basically creates this sucking motion. You can just click through and find different vibration and stimulation patterns, and you can also increase and decrease the intensity of both. What I really like about this though is that you can choose what kind of stimulation you want. To me, it's like a 3-in-1, because if you just like G-spot stimulation, you can just have this inside of you. If you just want clitoral stimulation that day, you can just use this part, or you can use them both and have both at the same time, which feels incredible. Having both stimulated at the same time brings me some of the most pleasurable orgasms. And I also really like the charge on these products because I charged this for like 10 minutes 3 days ago and it's still been going so strong. If you would like to seize substantial discounts on Lelo products, you can click the first link in the description box down below and use my code HITOMI10 for an extra 10% off. It's so fun to shop for sex toys for yourself or with a partner, things that you might want them to use on you. All of their toys are so high quality, and I just really appreciate Lelo sponsoring these conversations. So we talked about initiating sex. Now let's talk about really getting in the mood for sex. I just want to say that lingerie is for you. Lingerie should be for you feeling sexy, empowered, and confident in your body, and not just for the other person, not for the way that it looks, but the way that it feels. For me, I used to always get these really cute lingerie sets, but they were so uncomfortable, like the strings being so small and digging into areas. It did not actually make me feel sexy, even if it looked sexy. So now I have like 100% cotton underwear that I really like with a matching bra, maybe some lace and some thigh highs, and that feels so good for me. I feel really sexy and my body genuinely feels comfortable. Other things that help to prepare you for sex. So for me, I really like taking a shower before sex. I feel so much more confident when I'm freshly showered. I just feel like everything is completely open for exploration. Learn what makes you more available for pleasure, essentially. I also really like making love when I've worked out at some point in the day because that makes me feel so confident in my body. I already have like higher adrenaline. I also really like reading smut, which I've been reading a bit more of. And enthusiasm is really important. Someone once said that enthusiasm beats technique. Like if you're just genuinely so excited to share your body and pleasure someone else, it doesn't matter how good you are at what you're doing, but just the fact that you're so down and curious and excited is going to make the lovemaking session really good. And along with this, being vocal as fuck, like being feral for this other person and the lovemaking that's about to happen. So here's an example of you vocalizing something that you want to do to them. You can look down and then look back up kind of shyly and be like, I can't wait to ride you until I'm milking the cum out of you. You can say, I love it when you bring me so close to climaxing without letting me finish, so that when I finally do, I just explode all over you. And once again, you use that sort of like hush, shy tone, but it's like a dare at the same time. I don't know. It depends what they're into, but I know it can be kind of intimidating, but if you're just saying what you want to feel and what you want to do to them or what you want them to do to you, it's a lot easier. It's just logical. Like, this is the vision that I'm painting in my head. Let me say it out loud. And let me tell you, no one has ever said something like this to me and I've cringed. Like, every time someone says something hot to me and paints this picture in my head, it really just takes me there and it gets me so excited. So don't be worried about the way that it's gonna sound. You don't have to do a breathy voice. Like, you can just be speaking in your normal tone and just be like, I couldn't stop thinking about the last time we had sex on the couch. I'd really love to do that again. Or I really want you to do that exact same thing to me again. It doesn't have to be like intensely oozing with this sultry energy. Just say it and that's enough. And what you can do though is say it in their ear. You don't even have to whisper. If you do whisper, it's kind of hot, but sometimes might feel awkward for you. So just say it close to their ears so that your breath kind of trails down their neck. And if someone is doing something that you don't necessarily love, it can really cut off this sexual energy by being like, I don't like that. Of course you can do that. If something doesn't feel good, you can vocalize it. But what I like better is to be like, I really like what you were just doing, or let me show you how I want you to fuck me, or something like that. You know, instead of having this sort of negative feedback, just make it positive. Like, oh, you're really good at this thing. Let me show you. And along with that, you can ask better questions when having sex. Like, instead of, do you like that? Which is kind of intimidating, because if you're doing a bad job and the other person says, no, I don't like that, what do you do from there? Like, okay, should I stop? Like, what should I do next? Instead of asking, do you like that? You can ask, should I go harder or softer? Is this a good pressure for you? Do you want me to go deeper or be more gentle? You know, ask a direction-oriented question so that you know exactly what to do after, and then you can be obedient and get it done right. You can also say, are you ready for this yet? After maybe giving them oral, before you penetrate them. Maybe it's your dick, maybe it's your fingers, but you can be like, are you ready for this yet? And slightly tease the inside of their vaginal opening while you ask that. Or you can say, do you want me to spend more time here when you're giving them head? Should I keep going here? Do you want more? Now, I'm like most people in that I really like being kissed and just having any form of like mouth contact on my body, not just on my yoni, but making out is like immense foreplay for me. But you can also lick and nibble throughout someone's entire body, and not just in the basic places like their neck and inner thigh, but other places that feel really good to have licked and nibbled are the collarbones, the stomach, around the belly button area. It's just so sensitive. Even the ankle, it's just like a vulnerable spot that most people wouldn't even think. But if someone is maybe lifting your leg up and putting it against their shoulder and slowly licking it and biting it, I just think that's so hot while making eye contact. Basically, you can actually just lick the whole body. Let's just go ahead and say that, because I have had someone do that to me and it was so hot and so tingly, and it helped to bring awareness to every limb in my body. Do not overlook the power of licking and stimulating other parts that aren't just the sex organs. I also think that just sucking on fingers is so hot in any dynamic. Even just when you're kissing someone, you're making out with them, you grab their face and trail your thumb against their lower lip and then stick your thumb inside their mouth and see what they do with it. It's kind of just like a precursor to what could follow. Or when you're riding someone or having sex with someone, putting those fingers in their mouth and letting them do whatever they want with them, and then putting them on your body to get things wet. And on that note, keeping everything so wet, I feel like there's no shame in using lube, and also just like spitting and re-moisturizing as frequently as you need, especially if you're having sex for long periods of time. Lube is fucking amazing. I also think it's really hot when someone spits on their penis or on their fingers and moisturizes their clit. Like, it's just so hot, and if anything is ever dry, just get that shit wet, and it doesn't have to feel like this thing where your body's doing something wrong. Because after long lovemaking sessions, even if you're really turned on, you might not be producing as much. And things to sort of visualize while you're having sex is It's just the energy transferring between you two through whatever sort of penetration or stimulation is happening. Just feeling the base of your spine with every inhale, energy rising up, and with every exhale, it's transferring out of your sex organs to theirs. And then once again, the inhale, it's drawing energy from them up your spine. And just visualize this energy transfer, or if that's like way too complicated, then just visualize light emanating from both of your pleasure. And I know that might sound weird, but visualization and intention is so powerful. For me, I've had years of climaxing and then feeling really guilty and shameful and weird after. But then when I started setting intentions, like this orgasm is going to bring me bliss and abundance and joy in my body and make me feel so safe. When I had that intention and then I orgasmed, I felt all of those feelings. So maybe you try that out. Like, my sexual energy is holy and pure and light filled and helps to amplify every single one of my dreams. When I orgasm, I'm filled with lightness in my being. So also when I'm getting oral or when anything sexual is happening, I just visualize all of my pleasure and all of my just sensual feelings being this holy thing, this light-filled thing. Essentially just see the love in what's happening. So some positions that I really like, these are always kind of hard to describe, but I will have visuals. So this first one I might have shared before, but it is my absolute favorite because it really helps me have G-spot orgasms. I think it's really hot, really comfortable, and it just hits every nook and cranny that I like. So basically, they're laying flat, your butt is facing them, and you're straddling over one of their legs. So if this is their legs, your legs are like this. One leg is on the outside, the other leg is going underneath their right leg, and you're just riding them. Okay, I'm gonna have the visual, maybe you can see it better there, but you're just riding them. Your hands can be on either side of their left leg or the right leg, whichever one you wanna do. You can use that for stability, but this position is so comfortable because your shins are completely flat on the bed and you have that to use as your hinge while you're riding up and down, and you're basically just grinding your hips against them. You can go up and down or you can go back and forth, and I really like this position because it stimulates your cervix because it's just such a deep position for penetration, but it also really keeps the penis like engaged with your G-spot, and then the friction of their upper thigh is against your clitoris, so it's just stimulating everything at once, and it always makes me feel the deepest orgasms that I've ever had. So this other position that I really like also really stimulates the G-spot, and it's when both of you are on your knees on the bed and your butt is facing them, and they're just holding your hips while sliding in and out of you, and they can have their arms back behind you while you are doing the sliding in and out, but this feels so good and stimulating, and their hands can be in front of you touching your chest or your clitoris, and it's so stimulating. And if you do it in front of a mirror, it's really hot. Like, highly recommend doing this one in front of a mirror because you're just so exposed, and while they're thrusting into you, your boobs are just bouncing everywhere. It's glorious. All of the positions that I am speaking about, I feel like you can do with a strap on. I really like lotus position, also known as Yab Yam in Taoist practice. This is said to be a really great position for doing that energy exchange visualization, but something that I really like is if they're just seated, maybe cross-legged, and my feet are planted on the bed, my hands are back behind me, and I'm just sliding my hips up and down, kind of grinding against them. This is really beautiful. Your body's gonna look amazing, and your clitoris and your yoni's just showing, and they can really look at everything going in and out, and you can rub your clit from here using one hand, and you can also grind against their pelvis a little bit just by sliding up and down, and they can take your hips and just slide you up and down here. It's really deep, and if you like that clitoral stimulation, will feel really good here. So I really don't like doggy style. It's just, I can arch my back, I can have my face against the bed, but it doesn't feel good for me. But what I do like is if my partner is kind of kneeling down, his butt is against his heels, he's just kind of sitting, and I am in between his legs on my shins, and my butt is just sliding up and down bouncing off of him. This is like a form of doggy style that feels like I'm in control, and it's a nice reverse position where my butt is bouncing and looking cute, twerking, but it's not going deeper than I want it to. And if you have a headboard, this is even more comfortable, but they can just like lean back and watch you as you set the tone, as you bounce up and down. Okay, squatting over their body with your feet flat on the bed as you just gyrate and rotate your hips. This is a very knee focused pose to be doing, but it's really hot and really beautiful. You're basically like sitting on them as if they were a chair, and you're just bouncing up and down. Your body will look so snatched because if your legs are together and you're just bouncing up and down, and you can play with your hair, like you really just want to touch yourself and move the sexual energy all around your body, and then go up and down, go in circles, just make your own little rhythm. And I just use, whenever I'm on top, I really like to deepen my breath and feel into my body, feel into my pleasure, and I literally just stroke myself. Like I really breathe in that energy and try to distribute all the pleasure that I'm feeling and stimulate other areas of my body. But if you are just basically getting fucked and you like to be more submissive and they're on top and they're giving it to you, be an equal participant by moaning, telling them what feels good. If the penis slides out, sliding it back in with your own hands, like spitting on your hands, getting things wet down there again. Meet their thrust and match their energy. You know, you can be a power bottom in a way. Okay, and some gentle anal play tips. I'm not in a phase of my life where I'm super excited about that kind of stimulation, but I was a few years ago. And basically you also want to keep this very wet. Use lube if you're going to do anal. And a lot of people like to have their perineum stimulated while they're receiving oral pleasure. And so I just spit on my fingers and we'll just rub the outside of the perineum while also giving them head. This feels so vulgar, but it's casual, really. Stimulating all of that at once. And you can ask them like, how do you feel about me putting a finger inside? And give them time and space to receive you. Don't just shove your finger in there, but just be really slow, massaging, make sure it's super wet, and just slowly put a finger inside if that's something that they like. But I would really only recommend doing this kind of exploration or any new exploration with someone who you feel so comfortable with. So maybe don't try anal with someone who you barely know or like don't have good communication with. But something that helps if you are on the receiving end of any sort of anal penetration is to push out. So instead of being clenched up and tight, you kind of push out as if you were going to push something out of there, and then it's so much easier for something to go in. And I recommend starting out with a butt plug and maybe experimenting with your fingers inside. And for me, I wouldn't just go straight into doing anal with someone's penis because it can be really sensitive and fucking painful. So ease your way in and see how that stimulation feels. And when you do go to actually have anal in the bedroom, laying on your side, both of you on your side, having the lube there, everything is ready to go, and then you being the one to slide onto them, or whoever's getting penetrated, let them ease onto you instead of you sliding in. Like, let them set the pace of how much, how soon, how quick, how deep, and that will feel a lot more comfortable. I really appreciate a good butt plug. I think that they're so cute and they're a great way to work your way up into anal, and I think that they make G-spot and vaginal penetration feel so much deeper because there's pressure pushing down from the butt plug. And then also for any penis owners, getting that anal stimulation also feels really good because the male G-spot is all the way back there. And that's all I have for today. Aftercare is really important. I personally used to need a lot more aftercare than I do now. I don't need to sit and cuddle and talk for too long. It's nice to do that. It's nice to reflect on the lovemaking experience, but tune in with your partner and how much they need. I used to not want to have sex if I knew the person was just gonna have to leave right after. So you can set certain precedents, like let's not make love if we don't have time to do the whole thing, if we don't have time to cuddle and shower each other off and be sweet after. Like, it would trigger me when I would have a really deep lovemaking experience with someone and then 10 minutes later they were out of bed, like getting ready for the day and walking out the door. I'd be like, whoa, 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 I need a little bit more than that. So ask your partner what makes them feel good after sex, and you can make your own little routines. I'm currently at a point in my life where I have so much energy after I have sex that I kind of want to get up and channel it and make something of it. Those are just some of my little practices for sex. There are so many others, and I've shared so many already. I'll have the playlist linked down below. Don't forget to check out Laylo if you're looking for some new sex toys to spice up your life right now. If you have any other questions regarding this topic, please leave them in the comments down below so I can get to them next time. Thank you for being open, and I will see you in a video soon. Bye!